Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we are celebrating.
We are.
We're celebrating pre-week. Pre-week, you may ask. You may know. You may know. Do they know? They don't know. Pre-week is the week before my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So my birthday week, which we'll celebrate next week with you guys, I get real big about my birthday.
Yes.
You know this though, right?
I do know this, yes.
Well, I mean, I don't need presents. I don't need that kind of stuff.
Don't you though?
No. I just need love, appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, at my age,
mm-hmm.
I've got to a point with all the BS I've put up with my entire life. I just like to be fucking left alone on my birthday. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean like people saying hello and stuff.
Right.
That's cool. I just mean like from dramatical things.
Sounds like me on Mother's Day. Like, what do you want for Mother's Day? I just want you guys to not ask me any questions.
Yeah. Don't say the word mom.
Just
Mama.
let me sit.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. It's, I don't know. I've always been, I believe in birthday magic.
Mm-hmm.
And, happy birthday, Jeffrey Carter, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Another June birthday.
At the time of recording, it was Jeff Carter's birthday. Longtime friend, longer time fan.
How many friends do you have that have birthdays in June?
I try to plan that out.
I think that you do.
Well,
it's a lot. Anyway, continue.
I mean, we kind of gravitate toward one another.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, there's a lot of brilliant people with birthdays in June.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. The most brilliant people have birthdays in June.
I don't know. I think some pretty smart people were born in October.
I think that there was some Libras born in October. I totally agree with you.
Right.
Yeah, there's smart people born every day.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
They don't always know it. They don't always let us know.
Right. They don't always show it.
No. But they're out there.
Right.
It's it's hotter than balls.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, where we're at anyway.
Right.
It's terrible. It's a kind of like sticky. Your clothes weigh more.
Mm-hmm.
It's the air is. I can't even open a sunroof.
No, I went outside to feed the birds this morning. And by the time I came back inside, I was just sweating. I was out there for like 3 minutes.
It's so bad. I mean, I get in the car earlier. I leave Bruce Wayne job, and I get in the car, and normally, air has no problem, kicks right on, we're all good. My God, it was so hot, I melted, and I opened the sunroof,
mm-hmm.
and it got hotter. The sun wasn't on me; it literally got hotter. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went in a convenience store and just kind of walked around, and then I got, man, I was out of Cokes, right? I like to drink my Diet Cokes during the day.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little lunch pail that Stacey makes for me.
I hope they stayed cold. I put extra ice packs in there today.
They stay cold. they stay cold, but I had an issue. I go in this stupid gas station, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I go in there to get a Coke, and I get my Coke. I go up there, and I'm like, oh boy, all right, it's burning up, but I left the car running outside, hoping somebody would steal it, and completely, let the air going and stuff. And I go up to the checkout, and guess what's not up there?
Somebody to check you out?
Mm-hmm. Employees.
Right.
So the employees weren't missing because they were smoking. There were no employees. There was 4 registers.
Nobody
that
working?
all said smart checkout.
Right.
At a convenience store, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just put your stuff and it does
checks
work.
You out.
Yeah.
Right.
I imagine there's got to be somebody somewhere running it.
They were probably in the walk-in cooler.
But there was nobody to be found, so it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
After I figure it out, because I have issues with this.
Right.
But I did figure it out after watching a mother and her child. I kept pretending I was looking for other stuff.
Right.
Because I tried figuring it out 3 or 4 times, but I didn't want people to see me figuring it out.
They're weird. Is it the one where you put everything on there at once and it sort of scans it and tells you what you're buying? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I didn't want people to know I was like having issues.
Right,
so every time somebody would walk in or walk near, I would start looking for something else and go down an aisle. And I was like down the aisle waiting to see.
Right.
Well, and finally this woman comes up and she's just bitching at her kids, man. She's just like, you shut the hell up. Get up here. Come on. One more time and I will end your life. Oh,
one of those moms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a normal mom.
Mm-hmm.
And get up there and I watch her and I was like, oh, okay, God almighty. So I go up there and I sit my Coke down and I get it and I go out in my car and I'm like, all right, I'm going to back over here under the shade tree. See, I say things like shade tree.
Right.
Over this shaded tree. And I go over there and I sit there and I was like, all right, I'm going to eat my last thing of chips here. I was excited. I turned on a little podcast I wanted to listen to.
Right.
Talking about some wrestling from 1958. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfection. This is what a break should look like.
Right.
I turned my phone over so I wouldn't see it.
Right.
Because if I see it, I have to react.
Yes. If you acknowledge it, you have to answer.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Phones. Terrible thing, phones.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sitting there and out of nowhere, a woman, not saying anything about women, could have been a man just as easily.
Right.
Hell, it could have been a man today. But a woman, allegedly, just drives off with the damn gas thing in the back of her car, rips the thing right off the side, right? Mm-hmm. Just rips it right off and drives like, I don't know, right in front of my car.
Right.
And stops right there, gets out, looks at it, looks around, takes the thing, the nozzle thing out of her gas tank, walks it over to the fuel thing that is literally having issues at this point.
Right, okay? Right. Do they leak when that happens?
Well, this one did.
Oh, I see.
So I think there's supposed to be a shut off, but maybe that's that big red button that somebody should have pushed.
Maybe.
But she sticks it back in the damn
like
thing.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Tucks in the little hose.
Oh, no.
And goes over and gets in her car and leaves. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to blow up.
Somebody's going to pull up there to get gas and think they're getting gas. And
I was like, this is it. This is the end. This is how it goes. I'm going to die at a gas station.
Right. Eating chips.
Yeah. Eating chips. But yeah, I mean, that happened. I got the pictures of her license, so she didn't get too far as the boys in blue.
Ah, I see.
Were made aware of the incident by someone.
I don't know. That's amazing how they found that out.
And they had pictures that looked just like the ones I took.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
It is. It is.
Craziness.
It made me upset because that was just ridiculous. You should at least,
tell someone,
say somebody ran in your car and knocked it in neutral while you were getting gas. Come up with a lie, at least let them know. But, and the whole phone thing I was talking about, it's another thing. Like me yelling at the sky moment right now.
Right.
We didn't used to have to deal with this. I remember working like an indentured servant back, when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, just dying, right? I mean, I worked really hard. I worked freaking way harder than my friends did when I was 18.
Right.
I had my own place. I had 2 cars. I had credit cards, goddamn them all.
Right.
I had all this stuff. And because I worked my ass off. And it's, when I was off, honey, I was off.
Right.
If I went to the lake, I was at the lake. Because I didn't have any way, and there was no way to get me. There was no way to call me in.
Right.
No way to call me in. No way to get a hold of me. There was no stress I was having.
Right.
When I was running a store, if somebody wanted to, if they were feeling kind of bad or something, I didn't know that. And they knew they better show up to when I'm running the store. You better come and let me see those whatever's wrong with you. And, so I didn't have a lot of these same issues that these guys have today because they're always in tune with this, even if it's passive aggressive, like they're on social media with people that work for them, and the people on social media will be like, feeling kind of rough tonight.
They're doing the I'm going to call in sick thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why not a single person that works for me
right
is on my, it takes a special person that has earned that, that I put it on there. And it's funny because, I mean, I don't know. I'm bad with friends too, with social media. I still don't think about it correctly, right? I'm just not that person.
Oh, I don't ever post on social media.
You're getting into the wrong relationship with me.
Right.
With the expectations that I give a shit. Because it's not that I don't love you.
Right.
I do love you. I love all my friends. But I am the worst friend who's ever been by 2024 standards. I have people get a hold of me all the time. It's just like, you all right, man? Yeah. You doing good, though? Yeah. How's Stacey? How's the kid? How's everybody? They're good, I guess. I mean, should I worry?
Right.
No. Why? Just haven't heard from you. Oh, yeah? How long's it been? It's been like 3 months, man. You said you were going to call me back. Well, I was.
Well, see, the thing is when people keep up with each other all the time, then you don't have anything to talk about when you finally see each other. See, we like to just save it up, or I do anyway. Like, I don't want to know what you're doing every single day. And then when I talk to you again in 3 or 4 months, we're going to have a good long conversation catching up with everything that's been happening.
Yeah.
It's more fun that way.
I think that over a decade ago, hell, almost 15 years ago,
right,
we started doing podcasting to communicate to our friends.
You want to know what's going on with us? Listen to this.
It's a one-way communication.
Right.
It's just like, here it is. If you don't want to know this week, don't listen. Listen next week.
There you go.
It's a one-way communication. You want me to communicate? You want to communicate with me? Do a podcast.
You'll listen to that while you're working.
I can listen to it on my own time.
That's right.
It's, and people, I don't know what people think. They must think I have off time, right? And then I'm just, it's funny that, like, okay, today, I won't name names, but Ed, a friend of mine calls me, right? So I answer it because at the time I'm sitting under that shade tree.
Right.
And the phone rang. It interrupted my podcast. I was very upset. I turned it over because I was going to yell at somebody.
Right.
And it was Ed. So I answered it. And within a minute, he's like, I know you don't call me back. So I figured that I would take that first step and call you on the off chance that you answer.
Right.
And I was like, Ed, I don't purposely miss your phone calls.
Right.
I was like, I really don't know if you called or not. And he's like, okay. And I was like, man, you make it sound like we don't ever. He's like, it's been like months.
Has it?
It's probably been a month and a half.
Oh,
yeah.
See, to me, I'm like, didn't you just talk to him the other day?
Right. And it don't feel like that to me because there's something wrong with me. There is something wrong with me. And it's not purposeful.
Right.
It's funny because I love my friends. I love them. They are wonderful people.
Right.
I would take a bullet for most of them. Most of them. And I feel terrible, though, when I really don't feel terrible. See, that's what's wrong with me. I don't even feel bad. You're just like me, though. Are we assholes?
I don't know. Maybe deep down, not really. I mean,
I think we're good people,
we're
right?
super nice people. We're just very busy.
I give to homeless people. and I use my left and right turn indicators.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I pray every time I think I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's
worked so far.
I mean, God's up there going that time. Yeah, Got that one marked down, pal. So I don't know. I don't want to be an asshole. So that's the whole thing.
I got you.
You know? Mm-hmm. I hate to think that people think that.
Right.
They don't say that, but they think that. They keep coming back.
That's true.
I must have some good nookie of friendship there. So. The nookie of friendship.
I got you.
Not actual nookie.
Okay. Glad you clarified that.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've given any nookie to my friends in a while. No, it's been a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, maybe that's why they keep coming back, though. Just that maybe just like catching me at the right time for the phone call.
Right.
Might just be the right time for friendship nookie. It's not like traditional nookie.
Right.
We'll
Hopefully.
just keep you guessing there and wondering. All right, well, that's enough of that. I got something for you.
Okay.
Yeah. You excited?
I'm very excited.
Oh, okay. So we know that in the past few years, conspiracy theory has really became conspiracy fact.
Right.
So many things have become conspiracy fact to the begrudginess of, that's a John word, to the begrudginess of many governments and institutions of the like.
Right.
Who really didn't want people to find out things, but, you know, people talk, right? And it's the whole social media thing. I'm just circling this around with the whole internet.
Right. I gotcha.
So the internet created a lot of things, and there's a lot of cockamamie ones.
Right.
There is a lot of cockamamie things out there. There's a lot of just silliness. Absolute silly, stupid stuff out there. Somebody that I follow, and they are a huge researcher of the ancient world and out-of-place artifacts, things like that. He's very careful to not post anything cockamamie.
Right.
So he gets very highly upset when somebody does. And recently he posted something, you know, like in the petrified forest and like the rocks and stuff like in the desert that look like tree trunks.
Oh, yeah. Look like humongous tree trunks, but they're just petrified now,
but they're
supposedly.
But not even that.
Right.
There's some out there that are literally just rocks.
Right.
That kind of look like a giant tree, right?
Right.
Well, it's been making its rounds quite often lately, and there's some pictures of these rocks and then how underneath they apparently supposedly found like roots and... Right. Well, that's all total bullshit.
Okay.
And this guy put up one of those stories just like, this pisses me off because it's this kind of stuff that makes people doubt everything.
Right.
You know, it makes people doubt that 4 million year old hammer I found, you know.
Right.
Don't know why that would happen. But I mean, because that stuff's hard. It's wonderful. It's wondrous. And when they date that stuff back that they find, you know, like the used condom in the coal.
Right.
You know, it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Like, this made Jesus, you know, like it's...
Well, no, I think that...
Well, maybe it did.
Maybe.
If it still has the, you know, the magic Jehovah juice in it, it's obviously that's the condom worked. Well, you know. Okay. So anyway, with that in mind, I found a news article.
Okay.
And the news article was from Popular Mechanics there.
Okay.
And it was 30 conspiracy theories, right? And it's so...
I love Popular Mechanics. Do they talk about mechanical stuff in that magazine anymore?
I don't think so. No.
I don't actually subscribe. I just see the articles online.
Yeah, no, it's just like everything else.
Yes.
So it's like a 30, you know, crazy conspiracy theories.
Like ones that are just really, really out there?
So they say.
Okay.
Yeah, these are 30 that Popular Mechanics or whoever wrote this believes to be cockamamie conspiracy theories.
Right. Like just could never be true.
Right. Can never be true. So here's the thing.
Gotcha.
I don't know how old this article is. It's not terribly old.
Right.
But it may be old enough where some of these are already true.
Oh, well, let's find out.
I'm going to tell you the conspiracy theory.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if you think that the damn thing is going to be proven true eventually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Let me get limbered up for this. Okay.
Now,
let's go.
a little disclaimer. We don't care if this offends you. These thoughts are ours. That's still legal.
This is our opinion.
Okay. So, number 30 internet routers can lead to harmful 5G radiation. Some of the 5G truthers, you remember this when they were getting ready to go 5G.
Yeah, and put all the towers up and stuff.
Everybody was wearing the aluminum helmets and stuff. Circulated news that Faraday cages around internet routers help prevent radiation from 5G. And online sales soared. The real kicker, these cages block any and all electromagnetic radiation, including Wi-Fi signals. So
I will say a couple things about this one.
Yeah.
I have seen something recently, one of those, I was probably on Reddit or something, with someone talking about all the 5G towers all over the country being used for weather manipulation. And that's why the weather is so crazy. That was their conspiracy theory. But having said that, I think there is something to Wi-Fi and cellular that will harm you. Probably not to the extent that they're saying, but I know that my stepfather had to stop carrying his cell phone in his top pocket, because the doctor told him it was messing with his heart. That was a doctor that told him that.
I mean,
and he was carrying it in his breast pocket.
Yeah.
And he stopped carrying it there.
I tend to think that the fact that they always tout that they went to the moon with less power than what we carry in our hands,
right,
should scare us, not make us proud.
Right. I agree.
The number 29.
Okay.
It's funnier when I actually say the word.
Okay.
The abominable snowman lives in Asia.
Huh.
Much like Bigfoot, the abominable snowman has long been a mythological creature that the public has tried to find for thousands of years. The lure of this conspiracy, large foot tracks found in the snow of a two-legged human-like animal.
Yeah, Bumble's real.
Dude.
Bumble is real.
I mean, the funny thing with me is I believed in the Himalayan way before I did.
It's so much more likely, right? Because it's on top of the mountain. Who goes up there?
There's way more evidence.
Right.
For abominable snowman. Remember when Josh Gates went out there and found the big track, right?
Right.
And there was no reason for there to be a track there. And if you talk to the locals out there, these guys with the one tooth and the best friend llama,
right?
They have no reason to make this up.
No,
reason whatsoever. They're obviously not getting compensated, right?
Right.
But they're always just like, whoa.
I love watching interviews with people like that, because they're like, yeah, I took my brother Bob, 10 years ago. We never saw him again. Well, it's so matter of fact.
Yeah, it's always matter of fact. And I love that too. I love the matter of fact nature of some of these villages and stuff.
Right.
Because, I mean, they get screwed with constantly. We know that from doing the show for so long.
Right.
All the evil shit still goes to the villages.
Yeah. I believe we had a disclaimer there for a while. Stay away from villages.
Stay away from villages. Yes. Hell, we freaking try to avoid them.
Yeah, when we see the signs are like village ahead, we're like, nope. Yeah.
They're just waiting for us. Yeah, that one. And I agree with you on the number 30 as well. There's something to it.
Right.
So far, you're not doing very good here, Poplar. So number 28. This one is so funny right now, because this was obviously before some of the things recently.
Right.
Airplane exhausts are filled with chemicals. There's nothing like a government poison conspiracy. Many people have hopped on board with theorists who claim an airplane's exhaust trail caused by low temperatures and high altitudes is actually chemtrails, or chemicals the government is trying to secretly spray us with.
Wow.
Now, in the past couple of months, there has been nonstop weather manipulation videos and governments even touting the fact that, the one recently that they did over in was it the Arab Emirates, that they tout the fact that they're doing this, and then they caused they had the big floods out of nowhere, and they're like, whoops.
Yeah. Oopsies.
Like, maybe shouldn't do that. And then we got people talking about, adding things to the atmosphere to darken it. Yeah,
well, you've seen, I think it's been years, but I think I've seen videos where people are like filming planes making X's in the sky. Well, yeah. And then next thing you know, it's like cloudy.
Right.
From nowhere.
Yeah, chemtrails are real. And they used to say that they didn't even seed clouds, but now the cloud seeding has become a thing. It's out there.
They talk about doing it.
It's almost, I would put that one almost as a Mandela for me, but crazy backwards Mandela, where They're talking about cloud seeding now like crazy. And it used to be that was super conspiracy theory.
Right.
That doesn't happen. And they're touting it now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're kind of like, don't you remember? We told you all about that. Gaslighting us.
A certain vaccine, I'm not going to say it,
Okay.
has a 5G chip inside of it.
I don't know if I believe that one. I don't know if I believe that there's actually a chip in it.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I think it's more of a just trying to mess with you kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that one. I do believe that there was some things that were pushed out way too quickly.
Right.
And that there is some bumbling and fumbling that occurred, which did cause certain things that we now know to be very much accurate with, unfortunately, for some people.
I feel like it was all a money thing.
I do feel that there was best of intentions put with a lot of scientists that were trying to actually do good. And when you push things out, if you remember, they took the handcuffs off.
Right, right.
And they just...
it took the red tape away and everything.
And people do seem to forget they were like a little baby bird with their mouth open. You know, give me anything to protect me.
Right, right.
You know, at the time, I'm not agreeing with it because I don't agree with it.
Right.
You know, hell, I was forced. It was I was told you can't go here unless you do this. And so, anyway, that one I like to stick away from as much as possible. The 26, Queen Elizabeth I was a man.
What?
Some believe that Queen Elizabeth I died as a child, and to prevent the end of the royal line, she was replaced with a young boy. This theory is said to explain why the ruler remained chaste throughout her reign.
Ah. Huh.
Something else could explain it.
She does look awfully manly. I actually don't know enough about that to make a comment on that. I have no idea.
All the pictures with her neck thing covering up her Adam's apple.
Right.
I mean,
that's true. Could be. I would not put it past a royal family to do such a thing. Let me just leave it there. I don't know if that's the case. It's hard to tell. But if it meant losing the throne,
oh yeah,
I think anything would happen.
I think that a royal probably lays eggs anyway. So,
how did the royal line continue? Did she not ever have children? Or does that just mean that she was very modest? I don't know.
I mean, obviously she didn't. I don't think you remain, so they do have brothers and sisters and stuff that...
True. This is true.
Number 25, Planet X is home to a world called Nibiru, or however you want to say it. People say it every way.
Right.
So, funny thing about this is Planet 9 has also become one of the most popular scientific things. Then they say that now they say, hey, there's evidence.
Yeah, that there's something out there.
Yeah, that it's out there, gravitational pulls and everything. Don't even have to answer that one because, my God, they're not doing real well on these, are they?
They're not. They're not. It's not aging well.
We don't know what it's called, but if we go with some of the most ancient texts that we have, and you go to ancient Sumer, it's really strange how much detail they put for people that just learned a language out of nowhere,
right?
And how to write it. Just one day, they're like, you know what? Not only am I going to come up with all these characters to write down, I'm going to write a fictional story.
They went straight from fire to books.
It's not been done, so I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Start right off with that.
Yeah. Let's. You know what else? Let's spend a couple of years and write that son of a bitch on that granite. I want it to last. That's how much I believe in my story. They still can't get a publisher probably, but
fictional story.
My fictional story that I'm going to spend my entire human lifespan
creating.
Gotta love it. 24. Sirens were responsible for shipwrecks. Call them the original conspiracy theorists, but sailors have claimed that mystical women dubbed sirens would lure them to the rocks and cause shipwrecks back in the day.
Totally believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Too much crazy stuff has happened to us to not believe in the sirens.
I mean, it may not be exactly the way people describe it, but there is some kind of water spirit,
yes,
something that did that.
Yeah,
yes, I agree.
As crazy as this one sounds, we've heard enough. Okay, there's places you can go if you want to go and want to discover it for yourself, where you may just hear a song. You may just hear something luring you to the water. And let me tell you, some curvy, vivacious old lady comes up out of the water showing me her water jugs and just like,
her water jugs.
Cometh here, daddy.
You'd be like, I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a swim. I'll be like Chevy Chase and Vega. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, yeah. You're going to jump in the pool.
Right.
Right? Why not? How often do you get a chance to have sex with a water nymph?
Right.
Not often. Or at least not a lot of people talk about it after.
No, I don't think they survive, I think is the problem.
You know what? You got to just kind of weigh that one out sometimes.
Right.
Number 23. And this one's even funny just because something I just showed you. The Black Knot satellite is an alien spacecraft. Many conspiracy theorists are wary of a space object that has become known as the Black Knot satellite. I like the fact they're not arguing that there's something in our freaking...
Right. They're not arguing that it's there.
Yeah.
Just that it's not... I mean, okay, so...
While experts at NASA insist it's just space junk, some believe it's an ancient alien spaceship.
It's just... Do they know what kind of space junk? Like where it came from?
Probably the kind of space junk that stays in low Earth orbit before we were actually sending up satellites.
Right.
That people spotted early on and, Yeah. We recently seen, it's funny because we're firing up the old Patreon as we talked about last time.
Right.
And we found the first thing we're going to do for Patreon content in the next week or so. But definitely there's going to be a lot of shit go up next week because, well, I'm on vacation.
Right.
And we have a lot of stuff we want to do. But one of these things is a watch along on some videos I found. And it's not your normal UFO video, so I want to celebrate the person, the creator, the content creator on this, because they found some really like the clearest of the clear, the best of the best, really fun stuff to watch because it's good. It's really good stuff. And this person even went and compared if a UFO sighting looks like another one. They have 2, 3, 4 videos up that show, even if there's 10 years difference, hey, this was the same UFOs.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same.
One of the things they showed was the Black Knot satellite caught by the ISS, and it looks exactly like the picture we all seen on X-Files back in the 90s,
right.
And that was the first time I had seen the Black Knot satellite was, around the early 90s, and I don't know, man. I don't have any reason with everything, again, all the craziness we've seen, I probably believe it more than I don't believe it.
Here's the thing that I'm not sure about, though. I don't know if I think that it's alien or if I think that it's previously advanced civilization here.
Yes, I agree with you there.
Because to me, it could be either.
I agree with you there. Kind of like our big study from Harvard last week with it could be this, it could be that, it could be fairies.
Right.
I'm going to love that thing for the rest of my life. The very fact that they put that out there.
Right.
And I know what they mean. Like, open your mind a bit. Don't just think that is it aliens, is it not?
Right.
And I thought that was very strange because they've really tried changing that paradigm lately honestly, I would say that the man on the street, if you just went up and polled 100 people, would probably say it was, dimensional now. Because it's been said so much. Funny how that works.
It is funny how they say things here and there and plant seeds, and then all of a sudden you think that that's what you thought all the time.
This one's, again, the timeliness is insane.
Okay.
Number 22, a solar flare caused the Titanic to sink. A study recently discovered that the northern hemisphere was experiencing a moderate to severe magnetic storm on the night of the ship's collision. Similar solar flares are known to cause power outages on Earth and could have affected the ship's radar and radio rescue signals. with where that ship was at, and we know that area gets it worse.
Right.
That's where you're going to get your auroras and, all this, unless it's recently in May, we had the aurora go through the entire world. So basically, I don't know. What do you think on that one?
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about study into the Titanic to be able to say. I mean, I guess that could be a factor, but I don't know if there was already an explanation for why they didn't radio back. So if it
affects the magnet, if it affects our Earth shield, and our Earth shield is magnet, it's keeping this stuff from happening. I mean, it totally could screw with the compass.
It could.
And
navigation equipment.
Lead to going into the iceberg.
I think that was saying, though, it was messing with their communications. I guess they didn't radio for help right away. Like I said, I'm not up on the story as much as I probably should
know how
be.
it's
It's such a tragedy. It's not something I just look into all the time. So I don't really know. I can't really say. But I mean, I think that could have affected something.
I think it's the could have that's really
it really could have.
Let's see. Number 21 is another 5G causes the C word.
Right.
And also caused the other C word that I didn't want to talk about that had 19 behind it.
Right.
So, ready for another product. Let's see, of global pandemic there. The internet swarmed with misinformation that the wireless service was responsible for diseases like...
That one I don't believe.
I know.
I don't believe that one.
No, that's ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like it can do things, but I don't think it can...
I mean, maybe it could cause that or lead to something that causes...
I mean, maybe it lowers your immune system or something.
Know.
I don't know. I don't think it's like pumping bugs out into the... you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. I'm not sure pandas are real because of the internet. So
they're just all painted dogs.
Yeah, the problem is they had a couple painted dogs.
I know.
And that's going to always cause people to, wonder about that. Number 20. The Loch Ness Monster lives in Scotland. I like how that's written. Like, everybody knows the Loch Ness Monster lives in Ireland, right?
I like how that's written too. Like it's not that there is a Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theory is based on where he lives.
Elusive in its nature, Loch Ness Monster reportedly continues to live in Scottish Loch Ness Lake and has captivated the public for thousands of years.
There's something in that loch.
Oh yeah,
there's something.
There is.
And to me, if it's bigger than me, it is a monster. So there you go. There's a loch monster in there.
Here's the deal. Is it possible that some dinosaur survived? Well, alligators. So yes, it is possible that something survived.
Right.
Okay. How big that is, where it would be, well, probably somewhere like the Mariana Trench, like, somewhere really deep where we can't get to.
Right,
and how much of the ocean's unexplored, like way too much.
I mean, think of all those gigantic squids they found.
It's kind of like, I mean, hell, it could be living in the 90% of Göbekli Tepe they've decided not to
not excavate,
to unearth now. What do you think of that?
That's so disappointing.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so disappointing.
It's making some headlines now, so maybe somebody will stop it. But apparently it's owned by a private institution now, and they have decided to not dig anymore, so they can just keep it touristy as it is. And we're talking 90%.
It's so ridiculous.
Unexplored.
How could you call yourself a scientist and not want to know?
I mean, that's the thing. Like,
they're probably not scientists.
Who wanted us to not know?
That's true. I guess if it's a private company that's not scientists,
yeah,
that's the problem.
Seems like there's some money change hands on that. I can't imagine, even if you were doing it for tourist stuff, would it not cause more tourism?
Yeah, I was gonna say you would bring more tourists if you started uncovering things.
Hell, take it to 50%.
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
I'll take 20%. Give me 20%.
Amelia Earhart was eaten by crabs.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, it doesn't say eaten up by crabs.
That's the conspiracy theory, that she was eaten by crabs?
I hope it was while she was still flying.
That's terrible.
Amelia Earhart has been shrouded in mystery ever since her aircraft disappeared in 1937. While it's widely believed she ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean, some think she landed by mistake on a deserted island and was eventually eaten by a 3-foot-long coconut crab.
What would even make somebody think that was a thing?
And why would it be so high on the list?
I don't know.
When they're weighing this out, Did somebody in the office go, no, you know what? That 3-foot coconut crab, that's a thing there, Billy.
Yeah. And it'll eat you.
Yeah.
It'll eat you,
It'll eat
don't you know?
Especially if you're wearing leather.
That's so strange. I mean, I guess it's just as possible as anything else, right?
So number 18, one of my favorites. The Betts Mystery Sphere is alien material. I love the Betts Mystery Sphere. The Betts Mystery Sphere has baffled the public since it was found by a couple in Florida in 1974. Conspiracy theorists are convinced it's alien material, while others, such as the military, say it's a man-made object. All I know is the thing is really cool, and there's some old documentary footage from old news things that you can watch.
Uh-huh.
And I love those stuff. You know, it's weird. I don't know if it's man-made or not. There's not enough evidence out there one way or another.
Right.
I think they did a study one time and said it was man-made, but they would, wouldn't they?
Yeah. You can't really trust that.
And we have pictures of spheres just, floating around by themselves and making cups of coffee. And, they don't make cups of coffee, but what do you think? Do you remember that thing? You remember that thing?
I think so, yes.
It's cool. And I do love the old videos of it. Number 17, Bill Gates is making fake snow. With extreme weather conditions occurring across the United States, TikTokers stoked to fires on a Bill Gates conspiracy theory that he was creating fake snow that burns instead of melts.
I think I've seen this.
Obviously, he wasn't. But they do like to... I'm not saying the guy's not an evil bastard.
Right. Or continually up to something.
Yeah, like buying all the farmland.
Yeah, he's up to something.
Yeah. He's definitely going to be petting a cat and fighting secret spies soon. But
I like the way they word that, like every ski resort doesn't make fake snow for some reason or another.
Well, I think that every ski resort doesn't make the kind that burn you.
No, I don't think, they're not saying it burns you. They're saying that you can burn it.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't melt. It burns like plastic, maybe.
Jesus, some of the food that we've seen from grocery stores that people have found recently. Like,
I mean, it could just be plastic falling from the sky, for the love of God, as much as it's out there.
Like the ice cream that doesn't melt, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Zombies can rise from the dead. A belief in zombies can be traced back to ancient Greece, when they buried their dead with stones on top of them so they couldn't return from the grave. Even today, some people prepare for the zombie apocalypse just in case. Well, that one's kind of loaded because it depends on what your vision of a zombie in your head is.
Right. I feel like if they really did that in ancient Greece, there had to be a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not going to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's start burying people with rocks on them because they might come back from the dead. There has to be a premise for that. There has to be one that rose before they're going to be like, okay, wait.
It's like when you find a door that's got nothing but locks on it and do not opens. And, I don't open it.
Right.
I'm fine not opening it. I was fine before I found the door.
I don't need to know what's behind it.
I don't care what's behind it.
Right.
It's just like some things are hidden for a reason, and you got to put them somewhere. So, I don't know. So, number 15, Apollo 17 was not the last moon mission. After the success of Apollo 17 in 1972, America stopped sending astronauts to the moon. NASA claimed they had logged all the research they needed.
We know everything we need to know about the moon.
Except how to get there.
Yeah.
And government funding was reduced, but a movie about a fictional Apollo 18 came out, and now some believe the mission was real and ended tragically when the astronauts had a run-in with aliens. Well, here's the thing, Bob. If we ever went to the moon, then we probably went back many times without people knowing.
Probably.
If we sent humans to the moon and was able to beam back footage at a pretty consistent rate for everyone in the world to watch in 1969, and I still can't get a signal on the south side of Lexington, holding more power in my hand than we went to the moon on.
Right.
It's just, it's one of those things that I'm a patriot, man. I want to believe in my country. I want to believe that we went to the moon. But Jesus Christ, there's a lot of stuff out there that really can make you question it.
Right.
And it goes back to that old thing you do with evidence. could you create it?
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, could it be fake?
Sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it is.
Doesn't mean that it is, but would you throw it out?
Well, I mean, where does that fall in with the whole, we have people working on Mars, and I mean, there's aliens here, and we use their technology.
I don't know.
And
I believe there's a lot of, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know, because they're hiding so much from us. Here's the thing, bud. All right. We know beyond a shadow of a mother heffing doubt that there is something in crafts that we didn't make that is flying around everywhere. Just everywhere. Just right now, over your head, there's probably some kind of craft that just went by, right? It's just everywhere. And even the evidence that they've had to admit was, well, that's actual evidence. We don't know what it is. We know what it isn't. But just the very fact that they know more, that they have hidden so much from us,
right,
lied about so much to us,
right.
I don't shit know what they've done and what they haven't.
What if they perfected the teleporting thing, and they teleported people to the moon, and then they were like, "Oh, holy crap! We got to figure out how to get people there so people don't know that we can teleport." And so they,
I mean,
they faked the moon launch.
You can dodge a wrench.
It could be anything.
You can dodge a ball. Number 14, the Titanic didn't actually sink. That one is cockamamie.
Yes.
I'm not even going to...
No, we're not even going to give that one salt.
Number 13, the moon isn't real.
Isn't real as in it's not there, or isn't real as in it's something else?
Some people think the moon doesn't exist. The conspiracy theory has gained particular traction with flat earthers, and they think the moon is simply a projection.
It's a huge hologram. It's Scooby-Doo. It's a hologram. Well, they've used that projector, and they're
so I think they do that because of like the moon waves and stuff you'll see, and
right, which has to do with the atmosphere, not specifically the moon.
The moon's not a projection. Otherwise, somebody would not have been able to resist making a big barking dog with their hand.
Oh my God. There would be, somebody would have screwed up by now.
Pac-Man.
Somebody would have screwed up by now.
Yeah.
It would have disappeared. There would have been a hole in it.
Yeah, something.
Something.
Listen, I'm not saying again like you, it's not some kind of man-made satellite that just perfectly lines up with the sun and all this stuff, right?
Right.
I'm not. But it's real in that sense.
Yeah, there's something up there.
Maybe a big freaking aluminum ball, but it's real.
Right.
Anyway. Number 12, we're all living in the Matrix.
Oh, Jesus. That one could be true.
You know what? That one gets more true every day.
It just, the things that you think about, the more you think about it, the truer you feel like it could be. It kind of hurts your brain.
You know, manifest destiny makes me really question if we're not an AI or not, because if enough people put it out there, these things happen, like tulpas, right?
Right.
We create those mermaids if we talk about them enough.
Right.
And I don't know, man. It's a form of magic that becomes science, that becomes fact. You know, I don't know. It's one of those that I'm with you.
Yeah.
The more we look into it, the less we wish we had,
I'm just not going to touch that one for a while.
Number 11, the Nazis had a secret base in the Antarctic. Do they not still?
Yeah. Don't we?
Yeah. Aren't we fighting UFOs down there?
Yeah.
Number 10, Bigfoot is real.
Of course he is.
Number 9, Prince Charles is a vampire.
Oh, I thought they were werewolves.
I think that they just like certain kind of spinal fluids.
Or are they reptilians? Maybe it's
Yeah.
reptilians. Yeah. There's something going on there.
Number 8, the world is flat.
Nope. I don't think so.
Number 7, the earth is hollow.
I think that could be true.
Me too. I think that there is...
I think we really don't understand what's in the middle of the earth.
I think there's a lot that could be. And
Right.
I think that some of, again, ancient people, ancient technologies, if they could have done this, they could have done that, blah, blah, blah. How many times with an ancient technology or, ancient high functioning individuals would you have to get hit with asteroids to go, you know what? Well, let's go ahead and take all this high tech mumbo jumbo down there.
I think it's like we said on one other show that every planet has a race on the inside. We're the only idiots living on the surface.
Right. Exactly. The Denver International Airport is Illuminati's headquarters.
Well, it's probably not the headquarters.
I think that it's something the Illuminati likes to F with us on.
Yeah, I think it's like if they're looking at the Denver airport, they're not looking at what we're really doing kind of thing.
Number 5, Disney created Frozen as a distraction. People have long discussed a conspiracy that Walt Disney used cryogenics technology to freeze himself when he died.
So?
Even though the Disney family refutes the claims, however, a new theory is that the Walt Disney Company created Frozen as a way to hack Google's search algorithm and distract consumers from information from the late Walt Disney's possible frozen procedure. That's funny.
That is funny. That's something Disney would do, but who cares? Who cares if he froze himself?
Yeah. I don't care.
He had a lot of money.
Yeah.
If he wanted to freeze himself and try to come back in 200 years, that's his business.
Oh, yeah.
Who cares?
I wish he'd come back now and, pick Star Wars. Number 4, Earth has been sucked into a black hole. We could be so lucky. The European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN,
right,
is at the heart of a lot of crazy conspiracy theories. Some conspiracy facts like weird pagan rituals in their courtyard.
Right. It's because they caused them all.
Including people who believe that CERN discovered the Higgs boson in 2012. They inadvertently created a black hole and Earth was sucked into it. These people think that the world ended in 2012 and we haven't realized it yet. You know what? We were covering that. Mm-hmm. You can listen to it on old Haunted South episodes.
So is this what it's like when you're in a black hole?
It's probably pretty close. I will not argue with anybody who says that the world went to shit in 2012.
That's true. That's true. Something happened.
Something happened.
Something.
Yeah, something changed. Maybe that's what they were talking about.
Maybe.
So the next one was about a certain virus we've talked about 3 times already. Was engineered by the media. No, you know what? The media does lie about everything.
Right.
And just says whatever people pay them to say.
Right.
Little Mockingbird there. You might want to look that up. Little Operation Mockingbird.
Right.
Number 2, the government killed JFK. Well,
I mean, I thought that was a known.
Yeah. I
thought that was a given.
Conspiracy theories. Number 1. What do you think it is?
I have no idea. You already hit JFK, so.
Hey, I didn't do it.
No, I mean, the theory, JFK theory, I thought that was going to be number 1.
The moon landing was fake.
Didn't we talk about that already?
We talked about it in a different way.
Oh.
This is...
Again, I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard.
That one's difficult because there is a lot of evidence to prove that they did fake it. But then again, did they fake it just so they could send footage back, but they really went? But they wanted people to think that they could send the film?
The more decades we go past being there.
Right.
And the fact that we know that we're very money hungry, people, mm-hmm. It's very strange that we haven't progressed to having outposts there already.
Right.
And I don't know, the trouble they have with low Earth orbits, mm-hmm. and people and how we're going to get here, how we're going to get there. The whole thing where they said they lost the trajectories. Mm-hmm. We have computers that are smart enough to
figure that out.
The bitch slap us.
Right.
I have, I don't know, more doubt now than I did at any other time in my life.
Right. Well, I mean, you have to think, like when we were talking about the royal family, would the royal family do whatever they had to do to keep the throne, even making a boy or girl? We had already said, hey, we're going to go to the moon. We're going to be the first in this race, blah, blah. Would the government do anything they had to do to make us look like we were the strongest at the time?
I would have.
Like made so that people thought that we went.
JFK said that by the end of that decade, mm-hmm. we were going to put a man on the moon.
Right.
We're not going to do this because it's easy. We're going to do this because it's hard. Mm-hmm. We were in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. It was 1969. Buddy, we had to do something.
Right.
So, yeah, I would do whatever it took to make it at least look like I went.
Right.
And, so I don't know. I've also thought about the fact that maybe they did film stuff. Maybe they went.
Right. That's what I was saying. They couldn't send the footage back from the moon.
Right.
So they just filmed it to give everybody something to see.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And we won't know.
No.
For a while until somebody gets into something to, until everybody that could be traced back to it affecting is gone.
Right.
Any party, anybody that has anything to do with, being in trouble about it.
Right.
Until people aren't going to be too pissed about it. And that happens a lot. I mean, we find out a lot of things that are absolutely fact.
Right.
When it's so far off that people don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. And we're not there yet with the moon. So, who knows? But that was my conspiracy theory.
Very interesting.
It was fun just seeing how much of them is.
I think Popular Mechanics needs to brush up on their paranormal knowledge.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're going to cover the subject. They need to listen to some podcasts.
Yeah, buddy. You need to know what conspiracy they're. So, speaking of conspiracies, it's now time for Stacey Edwards and paranormal, not conspiracy at all, news.
All right, let's get to the news.
Let's.
Before I do this first story, I just wanted to say we were talking about Amelia Earhart. And I saw this really funny thing on the internet where it was a meme and it said, if you ever feel forgotten or like you don't matter, just remember there was a second person in the plane with Amelia Earhart.
Oh, that's terrible.
Nobody ever talks about him. All right, so let's talk about the full moon coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up in a few days, people. Be ready. So this month is called the Strawberry Moon.
Yeah, under a strawberry moon.
It's because supposedly I think the thinking is this is the time of year that wild strawberries would be harvested. So it's called the Strawberry Moon. So coming up on June 21st.
What's the difference in a wild strawberry?
So I think wild strawberries they grow in the wild. You don't plant them.
Yeah, I get that part.
Aren't they those small ones?
But do they still, are they still edible? I mean, I don't know.
I would think if you harvested them, they would be edible.
Okay.
Why would you spend so much time on something you're just going to throw away?
No, it's all good.
That would be weird. Some other names for the moon in June is called the flower moon, the hot moon,
the hot moon,
the hoe moon, as in HOE.
No, I know what you meant.
And the planting moon.
It's also the birthday moon.
Or the rose moon. Yes, for us, it's the birthday moon. I think it's interesting that it's on the solstice this year.
Yeah,
the full moon
it
on the
is.
solstice.
Nothing could go wrong on that.
No, don't worry at all.
Sorry, one of my ears quit working. I thought it was the headphones.
Oh, no, it's probably just you.
Yeah, birthday moon. Being June 21st, longest day of the year, summer solstice. There's another name for it.
I was going to mention, I thought this was interesting, that it's also called the rose moon because it's at this time of year where the sun's very high in the sky, solstice time, that the moon is then very low in the sky. So sometimes it gets that rosy color. So it looks really awesome.
Yeah. So very cool.
Yes. So get your things ready for your full moon rituals. Rituals is the word I was looking for. It's going to be hard
because our rituals are going to be ready for the summer solstice.
We can just do two.
What was our favorite, summer solstice celebration? It had to be Maine.
When we went to that place, I can't even think of the name of it. Arcadia?
Yeah,
Acadia.
Bahaba.
Yeah. And we made the flower crowns. And we went there for sunrise. Oh, it was so pretty. I was so tired that day, but it was so nice. It was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it. All right. So let's start our news off with a good old-fashioned ghost story.
Good old-fashioned ghost story.
Right. And this is about some researchers that were out at Alcatraz Island.
Oh, yeah.
So and this is a team of climate researchers, and they built a 3D map of Alcatraz Island to track the erosion and the effects of climate change on the island. Okay. So they had to spend 3 weeks on the island.
Oh,
and so when they were there, they had to sleep in the prison because, that's the only thing that's there. So during their 3-week stay, they were sleeping in D block.
Yeah.
And this particular block is where prison authorities kept the most dangerous inmates.
Why would they sleep there?
I guess that's just the place that was set up for them. I mean, it wasn't like there was mattresses and beds. They had to find a place where they could have the whole team. This article said, in fact, that a few cells down from where the lead researcher slept was the cell with the infamous Birdman of Alcatraz, Robert Stroud. So that was the area that they were in the prison. So what happened was, as they were sleeping, like they all slept in the cells, in the same area, a lot of them kind of snored But there was this one gentleman, this one team member that was just exceedingly loud. He just kept everybody awake. His snoring was really, really obnoxious. We all know somebody like that, right?
Yeah.
And so the other team members asked him if he would mind sleeping in the mugshot room instead of D block. Like they asked him to just sleep in a different room. And he agreed. He said, yeah, that's fine. I understand. I snore pretty loud. I'll go sleep in the other room. So he went to the other room to sleep. And the next morning, the team leader, his name was Pete Kelsey, he went to retrieve the man so that they could start the day. And when he got there, he found him outside of the room with all of his gear sleeping in the floor outside of the room. And so when he woke up, he said, what happened? And he said that he would never, ever sleep in that room ever again, no matter what. And he explained that in the middle of the night, he woke up to the sounds of a crowd of people in the room above him. And he said that these sounds, the people above him, were moving furniture around. He heard a non-existent piano begin to play. And that was about all he could take. He grabbed all of his stuff, left the room, and refused to go back in. So for the rest of the stay, everyone just sort of put up with his snoring.
Was it common room above that?
It doesn't say what was above the mugshot room. I am not sure, but whatever it was,
wow,
had a lot of activity in the middle of the night.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so very cool. And I love it because, they weren't there looking for that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's the best kind.
They were there doing other research, and they just happened to have to stay in those cells. And yeah, that one volunteer was like, nope, never again. And he wouldn't leave. He made them all put up with this snoring from
That's
then on.
amazing. It sounds like he was also someone that didn't really put much thought to this stuff, or he wouldn't have slept by himself in Alcatraz to start with.
Right, exactly. So it's not like he was
some of us know better.
Looking for something. Yeah, some of us know not to spend the night in there. So
I've never been keen on spending the night in haunted locations anyway, and sleeping.
Right.
You remember we did that before with South Pittsburgh.
We did. And it was hard. I didn't sleep much.
That was part of the thing was we did hashtag mommy daddy time though. That's always nice.
It was very, weird. Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about a story about the International Space Station.
Oh, the good old ISS.
Mm-hmm. So there's been a study that has been published in the scientific journal called Microbiome about a drug-resistant superbug that has mutated in orbit and lives inside the International Space Station.
I bet it does. That's what happens with that lonely spooge.
The superbug is officially named the Enterobacter bugadensis. That's a weird name.
Yeah, they could have just called it space bug.
Enterobacter bugadensis. Yeah, we'll just say space bug. So this space bug, it is something that you find on Earth in one particular form. It's kind of the microorganisms that cause infections like osteomyelitis, which is like a bone infection, or urinary tract infections, that kind of bug.
Right.
But since it's been up in space, it's mutated and thrived and become drug resistant. And it's a completely different strain now. It's a whole new superbug. So it's something that they have to really be concerned about because, if the astronauts are up there and they get sick with this bug, I mean, how do you treat? You can't treat that.
So I have a question.
Right.
When we've had people in space for a long period of time, things have mutated in the people and caused them to be different.
Right.
And we've scientifically proven that. I believe there was a set of twins that...
There was, where one came back and he was altered.
Yeah.
He was different than his twin.
So if we know that happens from short stays in space, and this bug that we have on Earth has mutated, should that not be some kind of warning that...
You would think so.
That we maybe shouldn't do that.
Or maybe we should clean our International Space Station once in a while.
Something, yeah. Well, I mean, the thing, I don't know. That's just nuts.
I mean, don't they have like an air purifying system in there somehow or something? I don't know.
I'm sure. Get so clean.
I suppose. It's terrifying, though. That's like the beginning of a horror movie.
Well, I believe that we have many things going on that are the beginning of a horror movie.
Yeah, the whole, like the ones that they find in the Antarctic or the Arctic where the ice is melting and all of a sudden
every time
viruses are popping out.
Every time. Look, this is melted. We're going to dig it up. No.
My favorite part is we're like, look at this ancient virus. Let's bring it back to life.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Nothing bad happened to all these mammoths.
Yeah, there's no reason everybody went extinct or anything. Yeah. I don't know.
Some of those things were around 4,000 years ago, too. So think about that.
Sometimes scientists are too smart for their own good.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird.
I agree.
Because we haven't had anything in the last, I don't know. It's fine.
All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about some AI.
Yeah. Oh boy, my favorite subject.
Yes, yes. So this is a story about a new study where they were talking about the Turing test.
Yes.
Now, if you don't know what the Turing test is, it was first proposed as, the imitation game, if you've heard of that, by computer scientist Alan Turing in the 1950s.
Great movie.
And it judges whether a machine's ability to show intelligence is indistinguishable from a human. So for a machine to pass the Turing test, it must be able to talk to somebody and fool them into thinking that it's human. So supposedly, GPT-4 has passed this test, according to this study. So what they did, they wanted to replicate the test by asking 500 people to speak with 4 different respondents. One respondent is human. One was the 1960s era AI program called ELIZA. And then they picked GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. That is just the AI that powers the Chat GPT. So the conversations lasted 5 minutes, and after that 5 minutes, the participants had to say whether they believed they were talking to a human or an AI. So in the study, people claimed that the GPT-4 was human 54% of the time. Wow. 54% of the time, it fooled the people into believing that it was human. Now, that the other respondents, like ELIZA, the 1960s era AI, it didn't have a very good chance because it basically has pre-programmed. It's not a large language model like the others. Like, it doesn't think on its feet. It has pre-programmed responses. Eventually, the more you talk to it, those responses are going to come back.
Yeah.
Because it just repeats what it was fed.
Right.
But even with that, it was still claimed to be human about, I think it said 22% of the time, which I feel is very odd. Somebody didn't talk to it long enough.
I think we should see if it can fool Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's true. The
He
GPT
famously played Alan Turing there. So.
It was a good movie.
Great movie.
The GPT 3.5 scored a 50%, while the human participant, people guessed that the human participant was human about 67% of the time, which I guess tracks because I only feel human about 60% of the time, I guess. So
I mean, it bothers me that we don't have a lead.
I know. We're not that far ahead, are we? A very interesting kind of study. Now, some scientists are arguing that the Turing test is too simplistic in its approach. Like, there's a lot more to believing that you're a human than just being intelligent.
I don't believe in, I see people that see themselves, with some kind of deep fake AI.
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, I couldn't tell the difference and all this. And I can every time.
Right.
To me, it looks like a really elaborate computer program. Mm-hmm. But still, there's things that just ain't right.
Right. Now, I feel like with this, it didn't say that they could see who they were talking to. Like, I think it was just a vocal conversation. But I still feel like you should be able to tell the voice, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't know how that part was conducted.
I heard something the other day where people can pay and, have their loved ones back with them basically, but this thing scrubs all social media and anything out there and gets the vocal patterns, right?
Right.
So it could pretty much recreate anything.
Right.
And then it uses AI to communicate. Mm-hmm. So you could keep me around.
I have a huge bank of your voice.
Dude, you have me doing everything on video, from the wrestling to TV to the podcast.
All these hours of you've said every word it's possible to say.
Singing, I mean, everything. So my footprint is quite large, and my you can do a lot with me. I promise you this. If you pursue that, if I suddenly pass,
right,
I will be sure to haunt that program. And I'm going to talk to you on the AI. Because the AI is hearing this right now. If it's scrubbing me
right,
in a timey-wimey way, right now the program is hearing this. So I promise that the AI will accept me as I haunt it.
Right.
And I will keep you comfort.
Oh, that's sweet. I'll just have an AI that spits out memes at me all day long.
It'll just be the interrupting AI. You can still do the podcast and have it playing over here.
There you go. Yeah, it would interrupt me all the time. I don't know. I thought this was a really interesting study. I think it's interesting they pointed out that what matters for the people to judge the AI to be human, it's not that the AI was particularly smart. It's more about being able to understand the situation of the conversation and empathize with the person you're talking to and put all those things together.
Humans don't do that.
Into a conversation. Well, I guess it doesn't enough to seem human. I don't know. But I don't know. Scary. It's still scary. I still think it's scary.
It's all scary.
Yeah. So
they're progressing with any kind of AI. They're progressing way too fast. They're making things that, they got to quit making them strong. Like, just work on the mind part for a while. Quit making the damn robots.
Like, I mean, I like the fact that you have a program that can help you with information or compile information or answer questions. It's in the computer. I'm okay with that, with it being in the computer. When you start pulling it out and making, robots for your house or for your pleasure or for what that's when it gets a little weird.
Well, don't get crazy.
That's when it starts. I think that I saw an article that is the next thing coming pretty soon. AI.
I thought it already was. I thought they
robots.
I thought they already had pleasure robots that
with sophisticated AI.
Well, not sophisticated, but I mean, you don't have to be too sophisticated for me.
You don't want one that's smarter than you.
It only has to know a few lines. Like that's the biggest.
Right. It needs to know the word daddy. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about kind of a mysterious thing that happened in the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
All right. So this is about a huge group of people that all fell violently ill while hiking through a remote part of the Grand Canyon.
Ooh.
So this is about dozens of hikers that were visiting the Havasupai Falls at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Bless you.
And they've all reported falling violently ill. So the way this article starts is it's talking about with a woman named Malin Griffiths, who visited the falls to celebrate her 40th birthday. Mm-hmm. And she was with a group of people, and they were hiking to the falls. It's about a 40-mile hike, I believe, is what somebody said. It takes a few days generally. But her trip quickly turned into a nightmare after she felt very ill. And she found out that one of her friends also felt really bad.
Right.
And so they couldn't continue their trip. They instead turned around and hiked out to like a local village or an area where they could go to a clinic to get checked. And when they got to the clinic with their friends in their group,
they thought it was weird they were all Egyptians.
The doctor discovered that their temperatures were really high. Like hers was 104.
Oh, God.
And her friends was 105.
Oh, wow.
And they were violently ill, and they had to admit them there at the clinic because it was considered life-threatening.
Yeah.
So another person that contributed to this article was a woman named Mary Blair, and her and 11 other people decided to hike into the falls. They were making it a 4-day trip. They were going to hike to the falls, just, have a good time. They've done it before. They're experienced hikers. And on the last day, her son became violently ill, and he was throwing up, diarrhea, just the whole thing. And she even put him in the river to bring his body temperature down in the middle of the night. So when it got to be about 2 a.m., they realized that other people in her group were also getting sick. So they decided that they were just going to, at 2 a.m., they decided we got to hike out of here. We got to get back to the helicopter pad, get them, to safety. So as they were hiking out throughout that morning, they kept passing people that were sick.
Oh, my God.
And supposedly there were a lot of people. This is a very popular, I suppose, hiking place. Yeah. And she said they passed just lines of people, and every time they passed people would be sick. So when they finally got home, they saw that over 300 people had posted about similar experiences on Facebook with the same symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea. And it's really unclear about what led to it. But I think they said Fox 10, when they did this article, said that nearly 400 people were camping in that close area. And there were just so many people that had this same illness thing just pop up.
Dude, that is
and
so
post on Facebook.
strange.
Isn't it weird?
It is very weird.
I thought
especially
it was very strange.
Being there.
Right.
I mean, there's just so much mystery around, a lot of those place mesas and stuff out there. So
yeah. Now the Havasupai Falls is actually on an Indian reservation, the Havasupai Indian Reservation. And, people go and hike into the falls all the time. It's, like I said, it's a very popular spot. At the time that this group of 12 went, she said there were a lot of people there. I mean, there was probably hundreds of people camping, and it was not a very big area. There wasn't a lot of sanitary bathrooms. I mean, it was an environment. But yeah, like, people don't just drop sick like that all of a sudden. No. That's just very weird.
No, that doesn't happen as a normal sickness normally like that.
Right. And the Havasupai tribe, the people that are, over that Indian reservation.
So take that, Whitey.
They put out a statement, and they said that there's an excessive heat warning at the time, and to, remind all tourists to properly hydrate during and after.
They're like, so sorry.
Yeah, to consider supplementing.
Did you guys get sick on my land? Did you have an unpleasurable experience?
Isn't that strange?
Let me tell you about an unpleasurable experience.
I thought this was funny because they did give all those, and they said, take electrolytes. But at the end, they said, lastly, and it's critically important that all tourists take out their trash, camping supplies, and personal items, not to put them in the bathroom trash, to take them out themselves.
Oh my God, it was the crying Indian.
Because the cost to remove tourist trash and gear by helicopter is very substantial. I can see him now
standing up on top of the freaking Grand Canyon looking down on his horse. I used to feel so bad for him.
I know. Because he was so sad.
I thought Native Americans were super emotional.
Well,
because of that,
I mean, maybe some of them are. Yeah. Who's to judge? I feel like that tribe was kind of like, we have all these tourists coming in. It's a mess. Everybody's leaving their trash. It's too expensive to sell.
I was raised believing that I was like a quarter Cherokee.
Right.
I mean, like enough to get figured in on casino earnings and stuff.
Right.
Not that I would have.
Right. I understand.
But, I really took pride in that. And we would go down to the actual, village and stuff. And I would sit on the chief's lap, and they took pictures of it and stuff. People were like, "Oh, is that your son?" And seriously, because I was such a dark kid.
Right. You were outside a lot.
Well, I was super dark, like crazy dark. Even my kindergarten picture doesn't look like the white kid in class.
Right.
And so it really explains my choice in friends throughout my life, though. But I mean, it's strange because when I got my DNA test, to the swift turns that thing has taken so many times, like,
we should look it up and see what you are now.
It's weird, isn't it?
maybe you're French like me now.
People don't usually go from completely Nordic,
right,
to completely, Irish, to completely Scottish, to completely
German. Aren't you German a little bit?
Yeah, German. It's just weird.
It is very strange. Mine hasn't really changed. Mine's always been the same thing.
And they swear that, such and such's great grandfather was,
it just gets diluted as you go down.
Yeah, but not like that. I had like a very small percentage of the Inuit tribe, like the Eskimos.
Right.
Of all things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a form of Native American, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't have any. I'm all English and French and
hatred of seals.
Portuguese.
Anyway.
Your hatred of seals.
Well, the singer.
Do you really don't like seals?
The Kiss from a Rose seal.
Oh, okay. All right, so let's move on, shall we? All right, so here's an article about an interesting new study. I thought you would find this one interesting. And this is about how there is a surprising link between your name and your life choices. Do you believe that? That your name has something to do with
I think that people have related my name to their life choices and probably hear my name and, cross their legs.
And claim they would have made better life choices if it hadn't been for. Yeah, okay.
Look over at that kid, they blame on someone else.
So, for instance, it says someone called Dennis is more likely to be a dentist, while someone called Lawrence might be more likely to become a lawyer. So this is called
oh my God,
nominative determinism.
Ooh, can I guess which ones are hookers?
Which ones?
And strippers?
Sure. There's a new paper published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, and this is according to researchers.
Does it have names on there and what they
no? Well,
is Jennifer on there?
No, they did give a couple of examples of famous people, but this is according to the researchers from the University of Utah, who
What
say
about Bob's?
that people's names may be the reason they end up in certain careers.
Ooh, Andy.
What's Andy?
Probably a skeptic.
They named people like Shakira, why Shakira became a singer, because their first letter is the same, or Anya Taylor-Joy became an actress.
Yeah.
Things like that. They claim that when they tested the theory, they analyzed 3,410 names from places like Twitter, Google News, Google Books, Common Crawl, and, looked across all the data and realized that this nominative determinism appeared to have a consistent effect across all the data. Mostly it was more common for men than for women, because I think as far back as they went back to a time where women didn't normally have careers like
or they
men
called
would
him
have.
like Mrs. Edwards.
Right. So, for instance, like I told you, Dennis would be a dentist, Lawrence would be a lawyer. And it says names also appear to have an effect on where we choose to live, with people being more likely to live in a city sharing the first letter of their name. So like people that lived in London, it's more likely that their name starts with L, things like that. So I don't know, very interesting kind of study. It's a weird thing to study, I think. But
I mean, it's kind of cool though. I mean, I get it.
Right.
I get why you would study it. I don't see any relation to anywhere I've lived, but
well, no, but for you, we move around because of your job.
Maybe
right.
Maybe John means nomadic.
But I mean, you do see people like the people that have the odd name, like Dr. Tooth for dentist, and things like that. Like
Dr. Tooth.
Oh, people have weird names that go along with their careers all the time.
Yeah, you do.
I don't never really associate it with the first letter, but it must be a thing. They have a name for it, so. That is how people at the University of Utah spend their money.
I want to find out the name list, like in what they said, like what were the Beckys,
Right.
Were they the friend that someone brought along? I've got a friend that would be great for you. Here's Becky.
So since your name is John, what kind of jobs should you have had? You could have been a janitor. You should have been a janitor. John, janitor.
I would think cult leader.
That doesn't start with J though.
Oh.
You need a job that starts with J.
Oh. I don't.
Not a lot of
juggler.
There you go. You could have been a juggler.
I was trying to think of something at a carnival. So.
All right. Well, I have a couple of more stories here. Just some
probably jailbird.
There you go.
Yeah.
That fits. All right. I got a couple more stories. Just something on the lighter side of the news that I think you might like. And this is a story from Avon, Indiana.
Oh, didn't know there was such a place.
There is. Apparently, there's an Avon man who broke into
an Avon man.
Well, he's from Avon, so he doesn't sell Avon. He's not like
not much of a man, is he?
Ringing on the doorbell. He's facing charges after he told police that he broke into his former Chick-fil-A coworker's home to perform an exorcism.
Boy, I didn't know what perform was going to be there for a second. Tell me about it.
So recently, I think this happened on June 11th, the police department responded to the 1300 block of Fur Lane near East County Road. Boy, they're really just giving the address here. After a caller reported a possible home burglary. There's a guy in my house. I'm possibly being burgled.
Burgled.
So that is a word, isn't it?
What a silly name.
Burgled?
Like, what a silly thing to... Excuse me, were you burgled? Where did he burgle you at?
So according to the court
Take
documents...
this stuffed animal of Mary McCheese. Show us.
Officers arrived on the scene and spoke with the homeowner, who said a man broke into the house through the window and wasn't supposed to be there. So police yelled for the intruder and heard responses from around the house. So it was a 38-year-old suspect, and they advised the man to come out of the house with his hands up, which he did. And when he came out, he was covered in blood, according to the court documents. And when they asked why there was blood all over him, he said that he had to break in the window because he had to do an exorcism there tonight. So I guess he cut himself getting in through the broken glass of the window. The man allegedly told police that he was trying to save a female who was upstairs in the house by performing an exorcism with a CD he had bought. I did not know you could get exorcism on CD. How very convenient.
Well, I mean, if you got the right Danzig album, there totally is an exorcism on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if it was a Danzig CD.
Well,
They
I mean,
didn't say.
it's got the rights and stuff.
It says play track number 3. That will save her. Is it track number 3?
No.
Oh, dang.
I mean, he could have made the CD, though. They
That's
do
true.
that, you know.
Play track number 3. That will save her, he said. And then they arrested him. And during the
Might have had
investigation,
Nickelback, and the demon had some self-respect.
playing some Creed in there. During the investigation,
Photograph.
You found me. Oh, God damn you.
wait, where was-
Just founded a real rock star.
clear that house right out, didn't they?
Not rock stars.
So during the investigation, the officers learned that the homeowner has known the intruder since 2002 and that they worked together at Chick-fil-A.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So officers at the scene also found blood throughout the house along with a bloody CD. So the man was taken by medics to the local hospital where he was admitted to check on his mental state, and he's facing charges of criminal mischief and disorderly conduct.
The exorcism was his backup plan.
Right.
If he got caught.
Well, here's the thing, though. They talked to people at Chick-fil-A, and a spokesperson from Chick-fil-A confirmed that the man did work there, but not for 20 years. He hasn't worked there for 20 years. So he worked with this guy 20 years ago, and now he thinks that he needs to save somebody in the house. I mean, I don't know if they stayed in touch. Maybe they did. Maybe he just popped up after 20 years to save some woman in the house with an exorcism.
He's playing the
from
long
a CD.
game. What if he purified himself for 20 years to save her?
Wow.
And this whole thing went awry. The demon made him cut himself on the way in.
That's what it was.
He
Trying to
should have
stop
been
him.
smart. See, I would get away with it because I would have been like, this son of a bitch did all this. And of course, I would have also convinced her of the things that had to happen there, you know.
Right. Probably wouldn't involve a CD.
No, I wasn't even thinking dirty stuff. I was thinking about getting myself off from the cops.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, hey, don't call the cops, or maybe knock on the door,
Or maybe run out the back door,
you know,
and leave.
or just show up on a Sunday so that you know that she's off. And
Hey, can I talk to you a second?
yeah, worked with you, a couple decades ago, and
Right.
I've had this weird suspicion that you were being haunted by.
I mean, they worked at Chick-fil-A. Couldn't he just show up with a Bible and be like, just coming to talk to you about the good book, friend?
Not sure that all Chick-fil-A employees show up with Bibles, but I appreciate the.
Maybe
yeah.
not. All right. Well, let's do our last story.
I'm just worried about people I worked with when I was a teenager. I was just running through them all in my head right now.
Well, if anybody needs an exorcism, it's somebody in this house.
Yeah, absolutely. They would never make it to the house.
All right. So this is about a doctor from Mumbai.
Is his name Good Tooth or whatever it was you said a second ago?
No, a doctor.
Yeah, a doctor, dentist, same thing.
A doctor. Yeah, I guess I don't know what
Dr.
his name is.
Brushwell.
No, his name is Dr. Brendan Ferraro. So he's picked the totally wrong profession.
He should have been a bricklayer.
There you go. He's a resident of Orlam in Malad, wherever that is. Anyway,
Yeah.
He ordered 3 ice cream cones through an online app. Some of those like prepackaged ice cream cones. And these were from a brand called Yummo Ice Cream.
Yummo.
So excited to eat his Yummo ice cream. And he got 3 of them and he ate his lunch. And when he was eating his Yummo ice cream, he ended up with something like kind of in his mouth. He thought it was like a big nut. He said, I thought it was a big nut. But he took it out to kind of inspect it. And it was a finger.
Oh, what?
A human finger. Well, it was a piece of human flesh. They're calling it a human finger because he claims that when he examined it thoroughly, that it had a little piece of fingernail on it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and he is a doctor, so you think he would know.
Yeah.
So,
Yummo.
Yeah, so he got a butterscotch cone of the Yummo brand, and he's like, I just don't know. He said, luckily I didn't consume it, but he said he's been feeling kind of this numbness over his tongue because it's in his head now that he had a piece of somebody's body in his mouth.
Yeah.
And that that thing had been packaged for a month.
Right.
And it came from a factory somewhere.
New from the fine folks at Yummo.
Idea.
Index flavor. That's right. Order now, and you can also have ring finger.
He said that now when he thinks about
Nothing tastes like an index.
now when he thinks about ice cream, he feels traumatized and he can't eat ice cream. He's got like PTSD, which I don't blame him. And he said that he needs to do tests on himself now
Don't
because
trust
it could be
those other
contaminated.
ice cream companies who try to give you pinkies. Everyone knows that everything's touched with the index. Everything's touched with an index, Yummo.
That actually kind of works. So he went to the police and he's now suing the company, and the company responded by, pulling all the product, responding to the incident, claiming that they're,
Did they finger the person?
Doing an investigation.
Not going to be real hard to find the person responsible, is it?
They're like going to do an internal investigation. I don't know if that means everybody has to show up and like hold their hands out so they can see who's missing a finger. Yeah. Like, why isn't Fred at work today?
Let me see your hands, Johnson. Why? Let me see him, Johnson. That's what I thought, you dirty bastard. You only have 7 fingers.
I think it's 7 fingers.
Well, he got away with it, of course, a couple times.
I thought it was weird that he's like, I thought it was a big nut. 'Cause I don't feel like the butterscotch ice cream should have had nuts in it. Like, it didn't say that it was a nut-filled ice cream.
Maybe people are putting a lot worse stuff in there. Maybe he thought he tasted like a big nut and meant something totally other than almonds.
They sent it off for testing to see if it really was human flesh.
I can't wait to see what I was in it.
I want to know what the,
I know I worked with the guy that gave the freaking original recipe a whole new idea of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I don't want to hear about that.
It was back, we were kids, and I still can't believe he did that.
Oh.
And then battered it up.
Ew.
He really enjoyed that. It was on a Sunday.
Of course.
Yeah, he wanted to get full,
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Terrible, terrible, terrible thing.
It was terrible.
It was disgusting.
Yeah. It's just a little. Okay, anyway. So that was my news.
Yeah, that was a great, horrible way to end it.
Yeah, I knew you'd hate that one.
Yeah,
so I put it at the end.
I'll never eat ice cream again.
Well, just don't eat Yummo ice cream.
Oh, God. You know what bothers me worse than anything?
What?
Is the fingernail was on it.
Yeah.
I could almost take a piece of finger. You know what I couldn't take? A toe.
Oh, that'd be awful.
Oh, or like
gross.
a corn. Oh.
How do you process ice cream, and then somebody would have had to lose a substantial piece of finger? So did they just not say anything and just be like, "Oh, I'm feeling kind of sick. I think I want to go home." I mean, how do you not stop your production right then?
Well, maybe they tried and they held up the finger for wait with their index and it just wasn't there, and they sent them home for putting fist up in the air. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, there's an internal investigation going on there.
They tried to point where it happened.
They're like, over there. Like, what are you pointing
right
at?
Right over there. You've lost your mind, man. Go home.
Oh, Lord. Or you just passed out on the floor. I would just pass out if my finger got cut off. They'd be like, oh, you don't look well. Why don't you go home? You seem to be bleeding from the hand area. I don't know what that's about. It seems like,
if I had to guess, where did you say this took place at? Like what country?
Mumbai.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here in this little Indian village, how much you want to suspect that there may be a missing Indian? It sounds more like, like the Indian mafia.
Right.
Took him in there and,
Possibly.
Dropped him in
it happened in the middle of the night. Nobody else
they
saw.
could have dropped some dude in a vat.
I will say that the particular factory where that was manufactured was actually a third-party manufacturing facility that was responsible for that particular product, and they've halted the production with that facility. So
in India, isn't everything third party?
Yeah, I think so.
Anytime you get something done and we ship it overseas in India, that's our third party.
They're third party in their own stuff.
Yeah, they just think that's the name of it. I'm sure they have like a company called Third Party. What happens when they go a third party? Oh my God. Who does India outsource to?
I have no idea.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's got to be the Dutch. And with that, I don't know what to say with the finger thing. I really don't.
You want some ice cream?
I'm John from my lovely wife, Stacey. We'll see you next time on the Paranormal Sideshow thing.
Good night.
Good night.